Okay, I think we're good. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you everyone who showed up this evening to talk to us tonight about plastic awareness. The main point of this evening is to talk about the prevalence of the plastic problem in our community and discuss some solutions that we can all tackle right here locally. I'm Mari Jackson. I'm with the Sustainable Trumbull Committee, and our committee was formed to work on obtaining the Sustainable Connecticut certification, and we've also developed a handful of initiatives that we're tackling, including public outreach and events to provide education to the public. So we hope you'll find this informative. I'm joined this evening by my committee member, April Lang, and Louise Washer from the Norwalk River Watershed. So this evening, Louise is going to get started talking a little bit about identifying the plastic problem here in our community, as well as some legislative solutions, which I heard her speak with the Wilton Go Green Committee a week or two ago, and she has some great ideas to bring to the group. Next, I'll be talking a little bit about recycling programs here in Trumbull, things that are already in place and some things we're hoping to implement to find solutions for those typically non-recyclable products. And then I'm going to hand it over to April Lang, who's going to talk to us a little bit about solutions and alternatives to plastic products. And hopefully you've seen her posting a little bit on Facebook throughout the month on our Sustainable Trumbull page, lots of different products and alternatives. And for Plastic-Free July, she's posted almost every day this month and has some great ideas to share. I'm going to give a lot of resources throughout the presentation. If you're interested in having a copy of that afterwards, please drop your email in the chat section and we'll be sure to get that over to you. We're also going to be posting a copy of the presentation on our Sustainable Trumbull Facebook page, so be on the lookout for that as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and hand it over to Louise. And here, hopefully this will go smoothly. All right.
Let's see. There we go. Can you guys hear me? Do I sound okay?
Sounds great.
Excellent. So I am with the Norwalk River Watershed Association, and that is what brought me to focus on plastic in waterways, especially. And as everybody knows, just as an overview, I always like to take a minute to talk about what a watershed is, in case people don't know. But it's the area of land that drains into a specific river. So this map shows the area that is the Norwalk River watershed, the towns, it's 7 towns. And so everything that goes into a storm drain in any of that shaded area will end up in the Norwalk River and will end up in Long Island Sound. So for you guys, it's the Peconic River that connects your communities, and that all of any possible cigarette butts or other plastic trash will end up going down and getting to the ocean that way. Last year, just as an example, one of the things we do to combat plastic trash in the Sound is we do cleanups. And last year we pulled about 5,000 pounds of trash out of the Norwalk River. A lot of that was plastic, but there are also always heavy things like tires and things that make that number go up. But as we know, Mari, last time I did this talk, that I had this terrible page of all the bad statistics, and she was like, "Oh, leave that in there." So, we've seen all this before, but it is always stunning to look at the numbers. 13 million tons of plastic go into the ocean each year. That's a 2018 estimate from the UN. 80% of it comes from land. So mostly through our storm drains washing into the waterways, or that's one of the main ways that we can do something about anyway. Only 1/5 of our trash is recycled, and about 9% of plastic. And now we have the new problem of masks and gloves with COVID. So even though those really disposable masks that I've been using that look like they're cloth, they have polypropylene in them and can take 450 years to break down. So this is a whole new issue, but what Mari asked me to talk about today is local solutions, like the positive side of all that. And we all know reduce, reuse, recycle, and Mari and April are going to talk more about recycling in Trumbull and how we can reduce single-use plastic use. I wanted to touch on cleanups, and then I'm going to talk about what we can do in terms of policy in Connecticut and on the federal level. So I want to give a plug to International Coastal Cleanup Day. If you guys are not familiar, this has been, oh my gosh, going on for, I'm not even sure how long, but more than a decade. The Ocean Conservancy organizes a global cleanup, usually the 3rd weekend in September, but we do in Connecticut, we do it all of September and October. And what they do is ask people to categorize when you pick up trash, you have like a little checklist, and they have an app. You can do it on your phone now and write down what you're picking up and then weigh it. So at the end of this International Coastal Cleanup, everyone sends the information back to the Ocean Conservancy, and they get a snapshot of what's going in the ocean. So, you know, it might be cigarette butts for us, and it might be diapers for Malaysia, or it might, you know, so it gives you a sense of how to approach policy, what trash is going in. So it's a really cool thing in terms of that whole part, that it's not just a cleanup, it's part of this whole project. So we have one set up for September 26th at 10 a.m. at in Norwalk, that anyone is welcome to join if you're interested. And I don't have it up yet, but very soon the registration will be at norwalkriver.org. But Save the Sound is the organization in Connecticut that oversees all of the Connecticut cleanups. So there will probably be closer cleanups to you guys. So if you look at savethesound.org for their ICC cleanups, probably in the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see lots of options. I think there were like 75 cleanups last year. So there's lots of opportunities to do that. And then after talking about cleanups, I always want to just make the point that one of the things I've learned in thinking about and working with plastic and water is that it is really not a full solution to think that we can recycle everything and that beach cleanups are going to solve the problem. This organization, Keep America Beautiful, sponsors cleanups. Locally, in Norwalk, we have a Keep Norwalk Beautiful staff member, and he's paid out of Keep America Beautiful, and he does a lot of great things for Norwalk. But these are the plastic manufacturers. So they are both keeping the focus on recycling and cleanups so that we won't focus on reducing use. And so their message has always been, if we just, you know, if you don't be a litter bug, they are the ones that came up with that term litter bug in the 70s, and you recycle, we can just keep on making and using plastic. You know, that's the solution. And they have planned to quadruple the amount of single-use plastic by 2050. So I just found that really eye-opening. They actually came to do a cleanup. They joined one of our cleanups once. They asked to be a partner. And I was like, great, I'm always want partners. And then I read about who they were, and I thought, I don't know if I want to partner with them. They lobby against bills that I'm going to talk about later that work to reduce the amount of single-use plastic. So here we are, bills to reduce plastic. I forgot to make this slide until the last minute. We did have 4 bills last year. You know, nothing happened because of COVID, and the legislative session shut down early, but we had a bill to limit polystyrene products. So that's, you know, styrofoam trays in schools. We had a bill to limit plastic straws and Mylar balloons. Oh my gosh, there was a story, I was going to make a slide about this and I forgot to, but there was a story that Save the Sound sent out of a young brother and sister who went out jet skiing one day off the coast of, I think, Westchester County, off the coast of New York, in the Sound. And they started skiing, and then they started seeing balloons, so they started picking them up. And by the end of the day, they had to pop all the balloons so they had enough room to keep these balloons. They found 121 balloons in their day of jet skiing. So it's just an example of a problem that was so easy to solve. You know, we don't need, these are not necessary. So I actually think that bill it seemed like it had a good chance of passing. So hopefully in 2021, we will pass, I think I said 2019, I meant to say 2020. 2021, we will pass a ban against those balloons in Connecticut. But the bill that I really wanted to focus on today is the bottle bill. We had one of the earliest bottle bills in the country. 1980, we passed a bottle bill, allowed you can take your bottles and cans back and get a refund. It involves the manufacturers. They have to take some responsibility. They have to take back the products that they've created. But and it's been incredibly effective in Connecticut. It's been the most effective tool we've had for increasing the amount that is recycled. It comes at no cost to the taxpayer. In fact, when things are returned and people don't take the money, that money goes to the state. So it's a money maker for the state. So the problem with our bottle bill is that it has never been updated. So it doesn't include, it only applies to beer. I have all this writing here because I don't want to get this wrong. But it only applies to beer and other carbonated drinks. So they did add water. I think it was maybe not that long ago, like in 2007 or something. But we need to add juice, sports drinks, energy drinks, tea containers. So like a huge array of the plastic trash that we create is not covered in our bottle bill, which makes no sense. The increase, we also need to update the deposit from 5 cents to 10 cents to just boost the redemption rate, give people more of an incentive. Our redemption rate is the lowest in the country now. Of the states that have bottle bills, we're down 37% in the last 15 years. So we need to update. And if you ask voters, they completely support this. 81% of voters in Connecticut support expanding the state's bottle bill to include all recyclable containers. And it's bipartisan, yay. It's men and women. So the question is, it's like when I started paying attention to this bottle bill a couple of years ago, I was like, why is this not passing? You know, what is going on here? And then it led me back to the Keep America Beautiful and these companies that work together to lobby against bottle bills and other legislation like plastic straw bans and, you know, legislation that would limit the amount of plastic trash. So it's something to think about. I put this list up here because I like to know, you know, who's lobbying against the bottle bill and, you know, use my consumer power to not purchase from them. But what we can do and really, you know, have a voice in this is to call our local reps and urge them to update the bottle bill. So the bottle bill has not come to a vote. This year was messed up, but in the past few years that I've been watching, it just doesn't come to the floor to a vote. So we need to ask our representatives to co-sponsor it and to push for it to come to a vote. So I put the Trumbull representatives up here for people who have never called their representative. It is really empowering. I hadn't done a lot of it until I started advocating for the river. And, you know, when something comes up, I just get on the phone and I'm like, I care about this. Please support this. And even if you have a representative who you know is already supporting the update to the bottle bill or any of these other bills that you're in favor of, it's important to let them know that you appreciate their support and that you're behind them. Because I think even they might say, yes, I'm going to vote for this, but you want them to be an advocate for it and to know that their constituency wants them to speak up. So to find your representative, you can literally just Google in "find my rep CT," and you'll get this Connecticut General Assembly website. So it's very easy, and usually you can see down here they have it set up for you to send an email. So even if you just send an email, it takes just a few seconds. So I really think that, you know, for kids too, just encourage advocacy around these issues. And then the other thing I added to this talk, because it happened since you and I talked about this last, is that we got a federal bill, which would be just amazing. The Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. It would go really far in turning off the tap on plastic, single-use plastic. It would phase out needless single-use plastics. It puts the brakes on new plastics facilities until they can be proven safe. And it would work to shift some of the burden for dealing with discarded plastics to the manufacturers rather than taxpayers and our local recycling projects. So I think I put more about this, but let's see. Yeah, so currently the bill has 70 co-sponsors. So there's a Senate bill and a House bill. And currently there's 70 co-sponsors. I don't know enough to know whether that's like a huge number or not a huge number, but I did do a little research and found that our Senator Richard Blumenthal is a co-sponsor. So that's great. So it would be really great to call his office and say, thank you for co-sponsoring this plastic bill. And also, you know, let Chris Murphy know you hope he supports it and maybe can co-sponsor it, and then call your representative in the House. This, I mean, wouldn't this be amazing to get a bill like this passed? So it just gives me hope that this is there and that, you know, we have a chance to make our voices heard around this. And then the last thing I would say that we can do, local action, is support organizations that are helping promote our state policy and helping to educate the public and get the word out. And Citizens Campaign for the Environment is an organization I hadn't heard of until I started working around these issues, but they are every year shepherding that bottle bill through, they're the leaders on that issue. So I really recommend looking at their website and supporting them. Save the Sound, organizing the cleanups, and also tons of education around this issue. They also sponsor our soundkeeper, Bill Lucy, and he has outfitted, one of his job is to take his boat up and down the coast of the Sound and, just look for problems, protect the Sound, advocate for policy that protects the Sound. But he is also working with UConn and has this trawler on his boat now. So he's trawling for microplastics. So I got to go out with him one day, and you put these big, screen things in on the side of the boat and then just tool around the Sound, come back in, and we literally sat down at a picnic table with tweezers and picked out all the little teeny pieces of plastic. So, and those were going to UConn as part of a study. So they're doing a lot. Surfrider is a national or maybe even international organization that's also really a strong voice on this issue. And then the Connecticut League of Conservation Voters, if you're not familiar with them, they support conservation bills at the state level, and they also do a scorecard for your representatives. So you can go look up your representatives on their website and see how they voted on plastic issues in the past. And so that when you call them, you can say, oh, I saw you didn't support, the straws bill last year. Like, I hope you'll change, or whatever. That's just a great resource to know about. And if you would like to get updates from my organization, I always send out plastic policy updates. So you can sign up for our mailing list at norwalkriver.org. And that's it for my legislative update and actions locally. And thanks for the chance to talk about this.
Thank you so much, Louise. I think I learned more again the second time around, so lots of great
got me
information.
Thinking. I added some stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop sharing, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, right back. Okay, I'm going to go back to share my screen here. Okay. Okay. All right, can everybody hear me again clearly? I hope so. Okay, if you can't unmute yourself and tell me, good, thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I put together my presentation just before I heard Louise's a couple weeks ago. So I decided to keep a few of my introductory slides on plastic a little bit, just because I think maybe I'll highlight a little bit more of the dire issue of plastic prevalence. I think what I think came to my attention so much is, Mary on our committee joined because of plastic straws, and April, I think, has a passion for plastic packaging. I think we all kind of have our things that we can clearly identify as plastic being a problem, but there's so many sources of plastic around that I think we don't even think about. I mean, from ingredients in our toothpaste and in the food we eat, so many packaging. And what I thought was very unusual is the plastic in our synthetic fabrics. So now you have a piece of clothing that goes in your washing machine, and a little bit of linens and threads go out into your wastewater from your washer back into your yard, into your septic, or into your sewer down into the public waterways. So I think just highlight the importance of why we're here talking about the plastic problem. And again, building upon the importance of all the things we're talking about, reducing, reusing, and recycling. I had my daughter help me. She's interested in some of these topics as well. And all plastic that's ever been made is still on our earth somewhere. And I think that's really important. And the level of recycling in Connecticut has improved over the years, but it's remained pretty static over the last 10 years or so. But we've gotten better as a community over the years, let's say, but we've kind of hit a plateau. So I think we need a little bit of a refresher and strategies to amp up our recycling. So before we kind of go onto the bulk of our presentation, which is going to be recycling and reducing plastic overall, I feel like it's kind of out of order of the typical slogan, reduce, reuse, recycle, kind of jumping around a little bit. The reusing I thought was really interesting, because I think, we all think like, oh, this isn't something I'm going to use anymore. I'll just either recycle it or throw it away. But there might be other solutions or things to do. And so I just Googled quickly, and Pinterest and a couple other things. Like, look at this cell phone charger that's made out of a lotion container. All these different cool contraptions of things to use. I thought this was really cool. These orange juice containers for holding our cereal. I mean, you could get clever and make the sprinkler over here on the right. I mean, there's lots of ways to be crafty if you want. So I thought that was just a fun little thing to add in. But yeah, if you're not familiar, there's an organization, FreeCycle, where you can see if somebody else could possibly use what you can't use, even if it's a non-working printer or something, you know, something else that is of no use to you. Obviously, you can give away things. There's lots of local Trumbull Facebook groups. There's a free items giveaway. I think it's Trumbull Free Items Giveaway, it's called. Right, April's nodding. So lots of different ways to get rid of things before we even have to talk about recycling. So, but if you can't find a use, any of these clever ways, again, Google, and you'll find lots more than just these slides. Then we'll move on to recycling. So I think, you know, I think we all have like a little bit of working knowledge on what is recyclable, but how many times do you grab something and say, I'm not sure what to do with this. Is this recyclable? Isn't it? Or you just simply have gotten in the habit of recycling incorrectly. I hate to say it. A lot of us just throw things in that curbside bin and hope it goes into the right place. And if it doesn't, it's unfortunately contributing to the statistics of what gets put in the landfill or gets burned. So the objective is to not just wing it, and let's get a little better understanding of what we can do. So the first step is to let's refresh a little bit on what can go into your curbside recycling bin. I'm going to move on to, after this, onto the slide where we'll see exactly what the Trumbull transfer station will and will not accept. But generally, you can always start off at the Recycle CT website. They have a really nice flyer, and they have this recycle wizard. There's almost all the references I'm going to talk about throughout my portion of the slideshow. I have a link to at the end, so I can get you a copy of that slide. So here's the recycle wizard, and you can just type in something, and it will tell you whether it can go into your single stream curbside bin or not. And I thought this was a really cool website I came across I wasn't familiar with, howtorecycle.info. So I guess this organization has identified the fact that this simple triangle with a number is kind of irrelevant to a lot of people. Like I said, you get in the habit of just either throwing it in a bin, throwing it in the trash, kind of not looking at that triangle and knowing if your local collection acknowledges that. So it gets more specific. So this one, the label I put up is from like this Dasani bottle, where it gives you, at the top it says empty and replace cap. It tells you what the item is. It gives you more specific instructions. Here's another one, which is really even more of a better example. You can't really see on my screen, sorry guys, but it's a Cheerios box. And basically there's a double label there. Can you guys see that a little bit? Someone give me a thumbs up, but it's basically telling you what to do with the cardboard box as well as the inner plastic liner. So I'm finding around my own home, a lot of store brand type products don't have these, but more of the bigger labels do, doing the part to better educate us. So like it says paper box at the bottom of one of them, and it shows you should recycle that as cardboard. And then the next says plastic bag, and it says recycle it clean and dry. And inside the triangle, it says store drop off. So that's considered plastic film, and we're actually going to talk about that in a few minutes, what to do with plastic film. So they identify this, you know, plastic liner. So just a cool resource. So then if it's something that's not going to go into our curbside recycling bin, we're going to talk about multiple options of what we can do with some of those items. Okay, so again, a quick review of what is acceptable in the Trumbull transfer station for single stream recycling. So we're actually lucky. Our town collects plastics 1 through 7. So you do want to look at that triangle and look at the number. We're not exactly sure if they're, you know, able to profit off of the collection and really put it to the best use. So if there's an alternative place for some of those that you know it's going to get converted back to the original product or whatnot, you might want to opt for that choice instead. They do take that. I did call Jose up at the Trumbull transfer station, and he gave me a couple of suggestions just to remind people to clean their plastic containers. I remember hearing years ago, it doesn't matter if it's rinsed or not. If it's not clean, it's not going to get recycled. And in fact, if it's so dirty and like sauce or, you know, yogurts get on your other recyclables, it can ruin and contaminate those products and then deem them not recyclable if they were to begin with. Another thing, just kind of on a side note, is not relating to plastic, but cardboard. So many people think pizza boxes are recyclable, but if they have any grease on them, they are not. What I learned last night from April's great presentation on composting was that cardboard can be considered one of the browns. So what I would suggest is take the bottom half that is greasy, because you don't want to put grease in your compost bin, probably throw that away, unfortunately, and then use the top for some of your composting. So, but yeah, so this whole acceptable item slide and this guide to recycling, they're all going to have links at the end of the presentation. Okay, these are some of the things that aren't acceptable in the single stream recycling. I'm not going to go through that too much. I think I touched upon the main ones. Clothing and shoes, we can look to reuse, donate, that sort of thing before we throw them away. We'll talk about most of these items later on. Plastic bags particularly, we have alternative solutions to discuss. Okay, so this is just kind of an overview of what we're going to talk about for what to do with those non-recyclable items. So I'm kind of grouping them into store drop-off programs. So I'm going to identify them here as the plastic film or the wrap program. Plant containers, we have alternative solutions for ink cartridges. And then we have some school programs running that we've started up as a committee. Review those. There's also some mail-in programs through the TerraCycle company that we're going to discuss. And we've organized our first, which we hope will be monthly, recycling collection drive, which we're going to run alongside the Trumbull High School Marching Band bottle collection on the second Saturday of the month at the Trumbull High School. Okay, so the plastic bag and film recycling. This is a big one because it's just recently been, in some towns come to pass legislation of banning plastic bags without a tax. And I guess it's been around for a little bit of time now, but this WRAP, the WRAP Recycling Action Program, where you can recycle plastic film, has been around at stores where you could drop off your shopping bags after you're done with them. But it actually is a broader category, and I think it serves wants a little bit of time to review what that includes. So I'm just going to show you, I guess there's like basically three main rules to think about when you're trying to decide if you can recycle this plastic film or not. And you want to identify if it's a number 2 or 4 plastic, but I'm finding most of the plastic is not marked. So that's not always the best strategy. You want to see if it's stretchy, and then you want to make sure it's not crinkly or shiny. So the crinkly or shiny, I think the best example you can think of is like the bag salads, like your lettuces. In the bag, it's kind of glossy on the outside, and it kind of crinkles instead of being a soft, stretchy plastic. So like the thing you can collect are things like here's a potato bag. So stretchy, I can pull it apart like that. That can go in the bag. Feminine product wrappers, shopping bags, red bags. Here's my direct cleaning cover, plastic. Just grabbing a few things. The outside of the head lettuce wrapper. So those are the main ones, I think, in the main guidelines for what you can bring to these collections. So there are drop-offs at most of your grocery stores. In Trumbull, we have it at Stop and Shop, Big Y, in Monroe, Target. There's at Target, a little trick. You can lift up the lid and shove your big bag of plastic in instead of trying to get it inside the little hole and shove things in. But as soon as you walk in on the Target on the left, I don't know if Holly Lane has them. I know that Target at the mall does. So you might want to call in and check. Here's a little video link as well if you want to watch a little bit more about what happens to the plastic film once you turn it in. And then this slide shows you a few more examples. I didn't have to show newspaper bags. Okay, so some drop-off recycling options. So again, this might be a little bit broader than just plastics, but April helped me identify the plant containers and pots that some of your store-bought plants come in. You can bring back to Home Depot or Benedict's. April, if you want to jump in on any of this, feel free. And so shoes, that was one of the things not collected at the transfer station. The DSW in Fairfield and Sound Runner in Fairfield are the two I know of that take wearable shoes, and they donated them to different organizations. I just dropped a few pairs of shoes off at DSW recently. You can also mail them back to, which would be the mail-in option, but I'm just thinking of it. I didn't add on here. But there's a company called Soles for Souls, and they'll take back your sneakers. You can mail them in. Nike at the outlets in Clinton, they'll also take back sneakers that are not wearable, and they'll grind them back up into some of their clothing products as well as other playground cushioning type surfaces. If you have beauty packaging, any and all brands of lipstick containers, cosmetic stuff, you can bring back to the store L'Occitane in Westport. I'm not sure if they've resumed collection since the virus, so we'll want to check on that before you bring your stuff down. Ink cartridges, we're going to start collecting those and send them into the Planet Green organization. But if you have some and you haven't gotten a chance to bring them to us, I believe Staples also collects. If you have corks from your wine bottles, you can drop those off at, check with various liquor stores. We know Linda's Liquor and Wine in Shelton or Derby collect. And then any of those bottles and cans that were mentioned by Louise as being acceptable, redeemable bottles and cans, please save those and bring those to the Trumbull High School once a month. They rely heavily on the funds that they collect because of that collection. Okay, so recycling by mail. If you're not familiar, there's this company, TerraCycle, and they have tons of free mail-in programs, and we were fortunate enough to get accepted to be able to collect and send into some of these programs. So I'm going to review that when I get to our recycling drive flyer, which will show you all the different categories of products that we're able to collect and send in. Some of the big ones include baby food packaging and some oral care products, which are not brand specific, but just general. Also, the Crayola company collects markers, pens, glue sticks, and we're hoping to get that back up in schools pending if and when schools open and how that's going to work. So anytime if you want to set those aside, you can look into mailing them yourself. So our recycling collection drive, again, for some of the items we'll review, the first one is going to be August 8th from 9 to 1 p.m. at high school. We'll be alongside the marching band in the back of the school. And these are all the great categories of products. Again, we'll have a flyer circulating after the meeting on social media and through the town. We'll have it sent out. So you can, and we can email you a copy of this as well separately. Okay, so after all of this, if you're still sitting there thinking, what do I do with something plastic sitting in your house? I'm not saying I have all the answers, but this website has many of them. So through the DEP website, this is a screenshot of what you'll see on this link, and basically you can look alphabetically for any product and see, is there a place that I can donate this, drop it off, mail in, do something with it besides put it in the garbage in a landfill. Just a side note too, our committee is working on a very lengthy list which will address many of these items alphabetically, and we're hoping to have that up on our website once, and we can post it to our social media pages as well once we have that complete. So, okay, I think that wraps up recycling. That one back. I thought I had more. All right, April, are you ready to take over?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can. Do you want me to mute myself? And then, actually, I'll just stay on because I don't see the mute option coming up.
Okay, perfect. So a lot of the times when we think about plastics, and we've been talking a lot about recycling, and recycling is good, but the first part of the 3 R's is reduce. So what you've seen over the past month, popping on a bunch of different Facebook websites, has been different ways that you can reduce the plastics within your household. And here's just some of the simple ways that you could do this. When you're out and about, bring a reusable straw with you, whether it's silicone, whether it's metal straw, or whether it's a bamboo straw. Bring it with you in case you really want to drink from a straw, or just not to get one from a restaurant. If you're going to work and you know you're going to have coffee every day, bring yourself a mug in so you don't have to either use a plastic one, use a styrofoam one, or a paper one. So you're just reducing what you're overall using. When it comes to school and sending your kids into school with their lunch boxes, send them with their own set of real silverware. So they're not getting a plastic piece of silver in a plastic bag every single day. And that's just one small way that you could help reduce what you and your family are doing in the community. Can you go to the next slide?
Yes.
Sorry. Perfect.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry.
Okay, so I think this was some of the things we talked about: straws, cups, bags. I know right now that there is COVID-19, but you are still allowed to bring your reusable shopping bag with you to Stop and Shop. Should you come home and clean it? Possibly that is your choice. I would probably suggest that you wipe it down and clean it in some sort of fashion, but you are allowed to bring your reusable bags to Stop and Shop, and you're allowed to bring them into any store that you actually go into. It just helps reduce one more plastic bag. Also, containers. I know a lot of people have been ordering out and eating at home, and so we're getting plastic containers coming in. But if you are deciding to go out to a restaurant, every once in a while, I've actually thought ahead and I said, you know what, I'm going to bring some glass containers with me, or if I have my own plastic containers with me, I'm going to bring ones from home, just keep it in my purse, and when I'm done, if there's a little bit left over, I just shove it into my own container, so I'm not taking a new container. So I'm just taking one less piece. It's just a small way to make that help, or that jump. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so here we talk about a couple of different ways that we can eliminate plastic from your home. And actually, I have many of these products here, and you've seen them on the website. So I'm going to go through a little bit more of a visual when we get done with the slideshow for just different ways to eliminate plastic packaging and products in your house, and what are some different things that you could bring into your house. And I'm not saying that what I have is the best out there, it's just an alternative that I know that I've used, that I could give a real person in Trumbull kind of review on. Okay. Would you mind going to the next slide? Okay, so you put like a single-use plastic outside of your home. Bring that straw or say no to the straw, okay? When you're getting a meal from a from a restaurant, say, no, we don't need utensils, especially if you're eating at home, because you probably have regular utensils at your house. I could say take it one step further. If you're deciding to have people over at your house, instead of using plastic utensils for everybody, just whip out all your regular silverware that you have. And okay, so we're gonna wash it, but we're saving all that plastic from our environment, okay? Bring your own containers to a restaurant when you go, if you can. Use a reusable water bottle, always. I don't think I ever leave my house without one or two, and my kids always have them as well. So this is great. It eliminates plastic water bottles completely. Reuse those bags. Just keep those bags in your car so you have them for any possible shopping trip that you might need, and it just helps. Okay, and if you can't avoid it, try to figure out a way to recycle what you did bring into your house. Go ahead, Maury. These are two websites that I've used, Grove and Mighty Nest, and I've used them for, I'm not lazy, but I don't like a lot of boxes coming to my house because that increases the carbon footprint. I don't like multiple things coming, and I'd rather go to one place and know that I can get multiple items versus shopping across 8 different websites for one item in each website. It just gets too confusing and overwhelming for myself. So these are 2 websites that I used, I think twice each now, where I was able to bring in a bunch of products at one time. And to help myself out, and I'll go through my recent Green Up box. I had a box delivered every 2 months to myself as like my own personal gift to me. I don't really like to shop, so I thought this was a way to help me bring some new alternative products into my house. And the Green Up box has brought some great products in that I probably wouldn't have thought about, but that have opened me and my family up to just trying some new things. So I'll go through a box real quick when we get off the slide to show you that. You could go to the next one, Mark. Okay, this is the 31-day plastic-free challenge. This is just something cute to think about. If you got rid of one piece of plastic in your house every day, how much you could eliminate within 31 days. I kind of like to think about getting rid of plastic as don't go through everything in your house and throw it out because it's made of plastic and just buy new, because it's not really helping anybody. As you're starting to, let's say, get rid of or use up all of your dish detergent, well, now might be the time, a few weeks out, to start researching new types of dish detergent that can replace what you have in a plastic bottle that's not going to be plastic and not going to have less of a recycling impact on the environment. So it's looking ahead, and all the changes that I'll go through took me over 6 months to introduce into my house, and we did them slowly, 1 or 2 at a time, where we had talked about it as a family. What do you think about using this? Do you think we could try this? Did this work? Did that work? And we've made a couple of changes since then, because not everything worked as well as we thought it would. Would you go to the next slide?
Yep. Okay.
All right, and here are some great resources when it comes to recycling within our town and in our state, as well as different ways to reduce what you have. Okay, so these are great resources if you're looking for more information that we cannot provide for you. We are here as a resource. We don't know everything, but we definitely have a passion for doing something that's good for the environment and for our town, and we're just trying to spread that knowledge and wealth to everybody around us. So.
Yes. Great. I think I'll go back to the beginning of the show. Oh, here's some references at where we got some of the statistics and information. And then, or we could leave it here, I guess. Is that good, or do you want to stop sharing, April, while you finish?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So now am I here? Okay. So one of the things that I did in my house to kind of help reduce, reuse, and recycle is that instead of using a Clorox square every day, several times a day in my kitchen, we decided to move to just a cloth. And it's I don't even know, it might be a microfiber cloth, but I think I got it at Mighty Nest, pack of like 12 or whatever. And we use the cloth to wipe down everything in our kitchen, you know, in bathrooms, and I use it for cleaning. And it has saved tremendously just on paper towels. And paper towels we used to buy in the huge, big bulk surrounded in plastic, as well as the toilet paper, but we made a change. And so my family loves the name of this, and then, so it's really kind of funny, but we use Who Gives a Crap toilet paper and paper towels. And what you notice is that they all have really kind of cool wrapping on them, and you get a couple different nice tissue paper out of them. And this really helped my daughter. She made arts and crafts out of the tissue paper that was wrapped around them. It's just another way to reuse what the bamboo toilet paper and paper towels were. And then they also have the bamboo toilet paper rolls are in here, so those are great for art projects. So by the time I'm done with this, there's nothing left because we've used every single piece of this, which has been really cool in my house. Sticking with the bathroom, okay, I'll try to do area by area, and I had to move inside because my Wi-Fi wasn't working. I used to love, and I probably still really do love, the squishy soap and the spoof and everything, but we decided as a family that we were going to move back to barred soap. And I like supporting local companies, so this was just one place, a local farm that made goat soap, so we went to barred soap, so that was really cool. We also switched over to bar shampoo and conditioner. This is the one that we've used, so it's high bar. What I like about it is that I got two different kinds, so we could tell the difference between them. The conditioner is usually like lighter or mistier in color, but with the two different types, then we definitely have two different colors, and my younger children can figure out which one's actually the shampoo versus the conditioner, and I know they'll be clean. And they love it. It's actually working. I love lotion. I think my body craves lotion. And so lotion was a big one for me to have to give up in a bottle, but I was like, I have to find an alternative. And so I did. I was able to find this slab kind of stuff. If I could get that up there. And this came from, I think it was Mighty Nest. And I buy this, and it's a square, and in the shower, you just wet it. When you're done, you shut the shower off, and you put it all over your body, and I don't need lotion anymore. I use this instead, and it's been wonderful. So that's cool. My family did, once their toothbrushes fell apart from the dentist, or they decided to switch them over, we went to bamboo toothbrushes. And this one is supposed to represent a bee, black and the white. So they all got toothbrushes for Christmas, which was cool. And then there's also even, believe it or not, biodegradable vegan floss. Never heard of it, but it came in one of my little boxes, and it comes in a little glass container, and the floss is in there. And then if you need refillable ones, you don't get the container, the glass container, you just get the little floss inside. So this we haven't used yet. My dentist would be upset about it, but it's pretty cool. So we have it. It's next on the list to get used once the other ones get used up. This I thought was gonna be really tough, but the Bites toothpaste, we all moved to toothpaste, and there's different flavors. So some of my family like mint, so they got mint ones, and then my little one does not like mint, and so she uses a berry. I think it's a raspberry flavor one. And I believe they're coming out with another watermelon hibiscus flavor. But you just take one little tablet out. They're really tiny. I don't know if you can see that. You put it in your mouth. You kind of crunch it up. A little wet toothbrush. Take a little wet water on your toothbrush, and it's fabulous. And we're not a huge scope person, but whenever I tried scope or some type of Listerine, it always shocked my mouth. So I wasn't a huge fan of it. I was like, oh, it twinged when I used it. So I figured I'd give this just a shot. So this is called Root. And you might see it on some of your commercials that are coming up on your pop-up screen. So this is actually pretty cool. The only downside to it was that you actually have to put it in the cup and give it time to fizzle out and do its thing before you swig from the cup. So this is something that you're not going to use on the fly, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So we've tried that. There's two different flavors. We have lemon in the house, and I think this is mint. And it's been good. My 9-year-old actually said that she enjoyed it. So I was shocked the fact that she wants to do any sort of hygiene, and let alone use mouthwash. So I was psyched. Okay, moving away from the bathroom, and I think about the kitchen. So one of the things that we started to get, and it's come a lot in my green up boxes, is little scrubbers, but like wooden scrubbers. So these are next on the list to be used, or I should say, or we use them in the house, and I don't let the kids take them outside. And they've been pretty effective, so that's cool. I made the jump to a little foam thing from Blue Land. And Blue Land's the company that you'll see on the internet now, where it's the little package. So you take the package in here and you dump it in here with some hot water. And now I have foamy soap in the kitchen. And it's been great for hand washing because my kids weren't a huge fan of the bar soap in the kitchen. And so they got it, they liked it, and it's a $2 for this. So now every time I need soap, it's $2 replacement. And I just bought a couple, so I don't have to ship anything to myself. With that, we finally ran out of dish soap in my kitchen. And so this might not be in the best shape at the moment, but here's our dish soap container. It's silicone, so it'll last forever. And I got my little reusable bag right here. And so I add some of this, and I totally mixed it wrong again from Blue Land the first time out. But you pour it in there with some hot water, you shake it up, and it feels good. It's doing the cleaning job, and it smells good. So we're excited. We're going to give it a shot and roll with that for a while and see how it goes. In the kitchen, too, you know, I would be missing something if I didn't show our beeswax paper that we've used on some of our veggies and bread products. You know, and then there's all these different types of, you know, reusable bags. You know, my kids have used these for the last 4 years or so since they started preschool, maybe even longer. And so I just keep buying a couple more every year, and my kids are really good at bringing them back home from school or wherever they go. And I think every kid could be responsible enough to do this. So I would highly recommend. To move this along a little bit, in the laundry room, there's a couple different things out there. We have the Eco Egg. So this is plastic, which is kind of disappointing, but I will never have to purchase it again. And inside are little mineral eggs, little mineral balls that I just have to replace in here. And so this goes in my laundry every day. Now, I don't have a scented version. There is a new scented version out there. But it can clean our laundry, so I'm excited about it. I also got and tried True Earth, which is laundry strips. These work too. We flipped on and off a little bit here and there, but I got these in a green up box, so I figured I'd give them a shot, and I would say they work. Now, again, I'm not looking for my clothes to smell a certain scent or smell clean, so as long as I know they're clean, I'm okay with that. If you're looking for a scent, this may not be the way to go. Okay? Now, you're like, well, my kids get stuff dirty. Well, so do mine. So I was able to find a plastic-free soap stick, so, or stain stick remover. So in here is just like a little stick, like you take out, I wet it a little bit, and I scrub the clothing, and it's getting stains out. And it's worked really good. Again, it's from one of the 2 companies I mentioned earlier. Okay, and then my green up box, because, you know, my gift to me for the last couple of months, it comes every 2 months, and I just gave it a shot because I don't get anything else really for myself. So this was kind of cool. This month, I got bamboo straws. I got to find a home for these because I have so many metal straws at this point, but these are still super cool. We got something called Earth Suds, which I found out are little, because they give you informational cards that tells you exactly what it is, but Earth Suds are little squares that you just put in your hands and you use it as soap, so that was really cool. This is the new kind of version that's coming out, and I kind of wish our regular deodorants would do this. Is kind of like cardboard push-up deodorants. So I got one of these. I'm going to give it a try, and this whole container here is biodegradable. So when I'm done using my deodorant, I know that this is going to be biodegradable, and it's good for the earth. I have found that pushing some of them up from the bottom, you kind of got to hold it up there while you put it on. It's a little frustrating, but if that's the worst thing in the world that I have to tend with for the day, I'm okay with that. And then I also got some sort of really cool sunscreen in this particular box, along with a reusable bag right now that's holding up a pumpkin in my garden. It was it looked like it was a weaved bag, a reusable weaved bag. And so I needed something to help hold up a pumpkin from a trellis in the garden right now. So that's I got all that in my box for a decent price. It's something that you might want to think about as a way to just help bring new stuff into your house without having really to think about it. So that was a lot, and I'm sorry that was a lot. But if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help point anybody in the right direction. Yeah, so I think I'm done.
Well, thank you for all that great information.
I am back on to say that I am totally inspired. And I had to move to another room so I could get a notepad and write all that down. I have some of that stuff. I have the floss. I mean, another thing about the floss is that it's free of PFAS. You know, PFAS is the new thing we have to worry about in our water, that it comes from nonstick pans and Gore-Tex. But most dental floss is coated in it, so that the kind that April was showing us, we know is free of that toxin. But like, look at my list here of everything that I have to now.
I made a list.
Thank you.
Louise, can I ask that somebody, I think we were saying it the other night, but for those pans that do have that coating, and that was a question, where do you dispose of them? We were talking about it kind of like at our transfer station
right now, because I don't know.
Oh, that is still. So there's
yeah, I'm holding on to them. I've asked that a couple times, and I haven't found the answer. I'll let you know if I find out. I think that they need to be treated as hazardous waste. We just, as a state, we haven't figured this out yet, I think.
April, that was fantastic. I want all the slides and everything. I will try everything, but I also have to say the takeout option, especially now, I think as a committee, that's a fantastic thing for us to put out there, because I never thought about that. My mother-in-law was known for bringing like her own thing, like Tupperware. She was a Tupperware person back in the day, and she'd bring to one of the cousins' house because it was a fantastic Rosh Hashanah meal, and she'd bring her own Tupperware, and it'd be like, she'll take home all the leftovers. And but that's a fantastic idea, because everybody that is doing takeout right now, and you're sitting outside and you're not eating it all, that's a great concept. So I think we should definitely get that out there too.
Absolutely. Anything that we can do to help, one person at a time, one thing at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Just a comment that it seems like we've developed very quickly to be like the go-to resource for reduction and recycling in the town of Trumbull. You know, the town website has some stuff, but nothing compared to what you just talked about, you know, the three of you for the last hour. So if we can document it and then just and then get the word out that this is a really great resource, and it's going to be fluid, because it'll be, oh, well, you should actually do this instead, and we're going to change this because this company's better, whatever. It's going to be, the thing is, you have to keep it up. So somebody would have to be like on top of it if we were to put it out there and
Right.
be the resource. It would require some doing, but again, the brains that we have here is we've got, all the information. It's just a matter of disseminating it effectively. And maybe Louise has some thoughts on other towns and so forth, how they've done it, if you've seen similar resources like that I'm talking about.
I'm not I'm more water quality than recycling. Actually, the plastic in the river is part of it, and the legislative stuff. But, I know, if you look at things that are happening now, like Vermont, the whole state, you have to compost. So that just happened. So I know that's a tangent, but I just feel like everything starts on the town level. And then if more and more towns do it, you guys are going to become this central place of information for Trumbull, and then you'll pass policy. And I'm inspired by that. And I know there are things that other towns are doing. I'm sorry, I'm not coming up with right now. But,
that's all right. It's just, it's, the whole situation is really fluid, because plastic recycling used to be something